asking if she thinks they came all the way there for such a small amount of money as he hits her and throws her to the ground. She falls to the floor a bit dazed. Our hero gets furious seeing that. Meanwhile,
Welcome
another
to
man
channel in your
approaches
video and
and
it
is
is subscribe
surprised
to
to
of
see
your
his
video from any
companion
video.
thrown at his
The
feet.
viewer channel
Kneeling
someone just
down,
today.
he asks the guy what's wrong with him, and the guy, all beaten up, just points forward, while the other looks at our hero saying, "What who?" Dae Sung says he wanted to see those two, and they came to his house, leaving the man confused. Angrily, he asks if he's that bastard who couldn't even walk, and adds that he's not worth his mother's money. Heading toward the man, and he asks if the guy knows how he survived in hell. And while he was saying that's nonsense, our hero grabs him by the face. That explains that every time he receives something, he always paid it back. Punching the man in the face, he says, 10 times more, hundreds of times. Beating him without stopping, he says, definitely. The guy falls to the ground, and our hero says, come on, we still have a long road ahead. But he's already lying on the ground, badly injured. Seeing a wooden box, the man seems to get an idea. He grabs the chair, while calling him a fool. Charging at our hero, he asks if the other has lost his mind. Without hesitation, Dae Sung punches the man through the chair, throwing him against the gate. Then the other man pulls out a knife from his waist. Calling him an insolent youth, he asks if he sees that and says he's going to injure him. The man charges our hero, brandishing the knife, telling him to face him. Nimbly, our hero grabs the man's wrist and asks if it was that arm, while the man tells him to let go. Questioning if it was the arm that just struck his mother, he twists it effortlessly. The man screams in pain and drops the knife to the ground. He holds his hand, screaming, while the other man begins to get up. Annoyed, he asks if the boy thinks everything will be fine after this. Smiling, Dae Sung says that in that case, there is only one path to stop them from causing more problems permanently. The lady screams, telling him to stop. She tells Dae Sung to cease, while the two men seem to seize the opportunity. Then they flee through the neighborhood streets. They get into their luxurious car and drive off. The larger man asks if that was the same boy who was in the hospital, and the other says it looks like he grew, but it's the same person. Then he asks how someone who had been unconscious for 10 years could change like that. The thinner one asks what they should do since the boss ordered them to handle it personally. In response, he says that's not the problem. The real problem now is how he's going to do it. Seeing a girl walking nearby, he tells him to stop the car. The lady explains that he had a collapse, and they went to several hospitals because no one knew what he had. She sold the house and the store for that. She says she hoped he would wake up soon, but ended up losing the entire rental deposit and also took out loans from financial institutions. She explains that it was not easy to pay, not the principal, just the interest. Dae Sung asks if Jinsu is still a student and also what happened to her. The lady says she dropped out 2 years ago. Last year, she got injured while working in a restaurant, saying she wanted to help. She says her sister suffered a lot working at a gas station during the day and at a convenience store at night. Tense, he says she should have stopped her and that she should go back to school. The lady says she tried, but her daughter needed to survive to help him. But she made no progress. Something happened a few months ago and now she just wanders around. Suffering from that, he asks why she didn't just abandon him. And the lady tells him not to say that because they are family. He stands there, reflecting on that, until a phone rings. His mother bends down to pick up the device. She says it's them, and the boy asks for the phone. Dae Sung asks what there's still work to do. Not believing what he's hearing, he says, what? And furiously calls the men cowards. The gangster's car drives through the city streets. The man says they messed with the wrong person and should have been more careful. He tells him to get 100 million today and wait for contact, because he believes with the boy's abilities he can get that amount in a day. He says not to try anything if he wants his sister back safely. Dae Sung grips the phone angrily. His mother, tense, asks what is happening. Our hero says he's going out but will be back home soon. She tells him to wait. She says it's dangerous, and if he hurts someone and ends up in jail. She adds that she wouldn't be able to bear it. He then thinks he can't solve this by eliminating them because this isn't hell. Suddenly, the terminal appears in front of him, and he stands there as his mother watches, not understanding anything. She calls for her son, a little confused. Then he says she doesn't need to worry. Smiling, he says nothing's going to happen. It shows that this is an adaptation of The Returned, and as a bonus, he will receive a basic ability. Dae Sung says if he's going to be given something like that, then please make it quick while he clicks on the terminal. Then the terminal shows some abilities like poison, stealth, hellfire, and summoning shadow specters. Dae Sung is a little unsure about which one to choose, and he realizes there's nothing there that he really liked. Sometime later in the city, the kidnappers go on their way while one of them asks if the boy wasn't going to come there, and the other asks if he even knows where that is, and what to do when he gets there, since they have a hostage. From the top of the elevator, some energy bolts appear. Out of nowhere, the elevator shuts down. The big man asks if it blacked out and why it's blinking. Something starts to rise from the floor. He looks back confused, and startled he sees someone coming out of the floor, asking what that is. Our hero appears there asking what he just said. Dae Sung says he said he wanted money, so he's there to give him that money. He clicks on the Summon Shadow Spectre option, and at that moment a dark energy appears in his hand. Thinking that this seems like it will do for now, he uses the Summon Shadow Spectre ability. A black liquid appears in his hand. In the next moment, he squeezes it tightly. That liquid drips and falls to the ground. Then something forms right in front of him. He rips a piece of his clothing while remembering the fight he had. He tells it to track this blood and open a path for him. Then he throws the piece of clothing at that shadow. And shortly after, he is inside the elevator with the men and his sister. One of the kidnappers, irritated, starts an attack. But our hero just dodges the blow, grabbing his face right after, and slamming him to the ground, defeating the guy. That big guy calls him a bastard, asking if he's an awakened. His sister stays there listening, surprised. Dae Sung asks the man what an awakened is. As the elevator door opens, that guy tells him not to talk nonsense, calling him a bastard again. Yelling, he orders the guys to give the guest a beating, saying the bastard is an awakened one to go all in. Then out of nowhere, Dae Sung strikes the man from behind, throwing him to the ground, defeated. One of the guys tells them to hold that bastard, and then all the men start advancing on our hero. Dae Sung comes forward imposingly toward them, causing all the lights in the place to flicker and shoot out sparks. The first one tells him to die and lands a direct hit. But suddenly, our hero transforms into a liquid in front of him, appearing further ahead, already among the men. With a backward kick, he counterattacks the guy while another calls him a son of a bitch and tells him to die. Dae Sung easily dodges the attack, returning a massive punch to the man's face. Moving very fast, he advances among the men, attacking each of them. The lights seem to be interfered with by his power. Within seconds, all those gangsters are defeated on the ground. Dae Sung continues walking among them, returning to the elevator where his sister is. He kneels down near her and asks if she's okay. He removes the tape that was covering her mouth. He says she's going home, and his sister asks what he's going to do. Dae Sung says he's going to finish that business there and will meet her soon. As the elevator door starts to close, she stays there surprised, watching. He turns his attention back to the problem. The light flickers, indifferent to everything that happened in that place. Several people are lying on the ground, defeated. There is a stillness there, not even a mosquito in sight. Someone appears climbing the stairs. The person climbs with hands in pockets with the hood of the coat up and still has one of the sleeves torn. He's a bit behind two other people. A rough-looking group is uncertain about something. The guy tells the group that the others weren't even cockroaches. The guys don't understand what the young man means by that. Our hero finds it annoying how quickly the rest of the group lost. Suddenly, a window shatters at the top of the building as if it had exploded. Someone is making a call on someone else's phone. A tattooed person picks up the device. That guy says on the phone that he already told them not to call them while he's in the sauna. On the other end, someone says there's a problem, to come to the office. Yelling, the man asks if by chance he's a dog and how the person dares to give him orders. But they say it's urgent and please come because there's a monster there. The guy stays there holding his phone tightly, very tense, and ends up crushing his device. Getting up, he finishes destroying the entire phone. Back at the building, there's a broken window there, and a few guys properly wrecked on the ground. In a nearby room with the door slightly open, our hero approaches another one of the bad guys. The trembling man tells him not to come any closer, but he seems to ignore the request. That guy is terrified of the boy. Dae Sung just stares at the man coldly. Suddenly, an entire wall is smashed apart, and that catches our hero's attention. That huge man comes running toward him using some kind of attack. Very quickly, he reaches Dae Sung and grabs his face, and with great force, slams our boy to the ground. With a grim face, he says he made a big mess in there. He thinks neither his mom nor Jinsu were surprised when he used his power. Holding our hero's head to the floor, that brute asks where all his friends are. Dae Sung realizes they already knew these things existed, and that he didn't ask anything because he was focused on recovering. When he grabs the brute's arm, several shadows follow. The man notices and becomes frightened. He escapes from Dae Sung's hands, leaving only a piece of his suit. Even as he backs away, the shadows advance toward him. And while the man is scared, our hero recovers. Nim thinks that this guy did all that on his own. Dae Sung stands up and brushes himself off a bit. And with an indifferent look, he asks the man if he isn't awakened or something. The guy says there's no point in backing down now, so he's going to send him to hell. With his best indifferent look, he asks, hell. And the big guy uses his power, showing off all of his muscles while destroying his fancy suit. Unexpectedly and very quickly, Dae Sung throws a punch at the man's face. That surprise attack completely wrecks the buff guy's face. He screams, asking if it would hurt less if he took his clothes off and got hit while spinning toward the wall. Smashed against the wall, he wonders how he was defeated like that so easily. Furious, he thinks this is unacceptable. But just as he was thinking of doing something, he takes a crushing stomp to the face. Stomping on the brute as if he were nothing, Dae Sung asks if that bastard knows what hell is. He says his family suffered a lot while he was gone. The man, knowing he has no chance, thinks this guy is a different level of awakened, and that the main thing now is to stay alive. Knowing he stands no chance, he begs him to stop, and asks to be spared, pleading if he wants money, or he can give him anything he wants. With that cold stare, our hero asks, money, where is the money? Pointing, he says it's in the locker just ahead of the safe. Dae Sung looks over and sees a locker there. He asks the man if he's serious, if he's giving it up. He hopes he won't go back on his word. Our hero walks over there. As he goes for the money, the big guy takes the opportunity to escape. Dae Sung just watches the man leave and tells the guy that he'll die if he doesn't get lost fast. The guy screams an apology. In the parking lot of the place, someone gets in a car. Nim, all messed up, says the kid is a bastard and that it doesn't matter if he's just a kid, he's going to kill him. Then out of nowhere, our hero appears right next to the man's ear, saying he forgot one thing, the password. The guy stutters, almost crapping himself in fear. Dae Sung says how important that it is, and that the important thing is that he can visit the guy wherever he goes from now on. Then he speeds off in the car, screaming. On the rooftop of the place, a portal opens from which a bunch of money falls to the ground. Seeing all that cash appear, he thinks it's a total of 532 million won. Then wonders how long he could live with that, how many apartments he could buy in Seoul, in a regular busy store in the city. Someone says they like that one, the new top-of-the-line foldable phone, and will pay 2.99 million won in cash. Dae Sung picks up a phone and asks, "This?" The seller says it's the latest model and also the most popular among girls, and that he'll sell it for 1.99 million won. Thoughtful, our hero says, girls. Adjusting his glasses, the man wonders if he overdid it and says that if he feels pressured, he has an installment plan. But the boy says he'll take it, leaving the man surprised. He adds that he'll take both, throwing a brick of money on the table. The seller looks very happy with that, thinking it's wonderful. The guy thanked the boy a lot. Back at his house in that quiet neighborhood, he arrives carrying his little shopping bag. Smiling, he sets it down on the computer table. Someone yells telling Dae Sung it's time to eat, but he replies that he needs to go out. His mother opens the door asking, "What, where?" But it seems he's already gone, and she keeps asking where he might have gone. Sometime later, already nighttime in the city. The night remains lively around there. Someone arrives at a local shop, and Chanova waves from a table, saying to Dae Sung that he's over there. Our hero smiles and waves back. Surprised, the guy thinks he looks like a different person than the one who is in the hospital. The friends enjoy a good dinner. They toast with their drinks, saying cheers. After drinking, the guy asks if he has any plans for the future. Dae Sung drinks and says, well. The guy says they're no longer immature high school kids, while it seems the drink is a bit strong for our hero. Then he asks how many apartments he could buy with 500 million won, and Chan-ho asks if he actually has 500 million won. But Dae Sung just chews without answering. Then his friend says that with that money he could rent a small apartment on the outskirts of Seoul. He asks how much it would cost to buy an apartment in downtown Seoul. Drinking his beverage, his friend replies that it would be around 2 billion won. Smiling, he tells Dae Sung to cheer up and says the world has changed since he went into a coma. But our hero just keeps drinking more, even though he seems to struggle a bit with the drink. Chan-ho says he heard something about him from his mother. It seems he had awakened. Dae Sung says that first he needs to understand what awakening means. Excited, the guy says he doesn't know because he just woke up. The night goes on in that pleasant city. He explains that sometime after he fell into a coma, portals suddenly began to appear. At first, these anomalies were discovered on a nationwide scale, being investigated and controlled. But one day, monsters started leaping out of the portals and the portals began to fracture. They started attacking humans. So they fought back with all kinds of weapons, but human weapons didn't seem to work. The damage just kept increasing. Dae Sung asks if it didn't work even with weapons or cannons. Chan-ho says he can assume that normal weapons don't work, and that over time they discover that only aura weapons, made from materials left behind by monsters, could work. The people who can use aura weapons are the ones called awakened. He adds that it's just like him. Looking at his phone, Dae Sung says he's an awakened like him. And his friend asks if he bought a foldable phone, that our hero asks if it's not cool, saying the seller told him it was a top-end phone. Smiling, the boy says that phone looks like it was released as a freebie recently, and asks if he's sure he actually paid for it. Our hero realizes he got ripped off while his friend teases him. Then he says that anyway, even if he doesn't use any aura weapon, he can use his power to enhance his body, which is also an attribute of an awakened. He says his body improves suddenly, and that he heard he stomped on the gangsters who came to his house recently. Annoyed, he says that if he wasn't an awakened, he asks if his friend would give him any money. Chan-ho is shocked by this statement. Irritated, he asks what the kid is trying to say. Then Dae Sung asks how much he earns, when suddenly, it seems reality starts to crack near them. The two friends look at that with concern, and a portal begins to open right there. Inside, we can see some creatures. The people around the area become terrified, saying, "A portal." A heavy monster appears, cracking the ground where it steps, and several more come out of that same portal. Strange creatures with different skin colors appear marching. There was an army of big, strong creatures beating their wooden weapons rhythmically, and a group of humans watches them from afar. People in the city look at the monsters, terrified. The creatures resemble orcs and are very fierce and angry. They are roaring, inciting each other to attack. Citizens scream for everyone to run to protect themselves, but two people stay behind to observe. Our hero and Chan-ho are the ones who stayed, and the friend warns that a sudden fracture occurred in the portal. Han wonders who those guys are because they were different from the enemies encountered in hell. He slams his foot hard on the ground so that it breaks and then picks up a piece. Throwing the rock into the air, Dae Sung asks if he should give it a try, and his friend doesn't understand his goal. The young man gets ready to throw a fragment and hurls it with all his strength like it's an Olympic discus throw. Even though it's a small piece, that object shatters into 1,000 fragments easily on the creature's arm. Thoughtful, Han is interested in knowing what kind of creature that is. At the spot where the stone hit, it became clear that it's not that their skin is hard, but rather that they use a protective field. The creature watches with great anger something beside it. Desperate, Chan-ho says that guns and cannons don't work against the enemies. One creature begins a charge, separated from the others. Raising its wooden weapon, it's about to strike the duo of friends. The guy in the suit already thinks it's the end for them, but he raises his arm and tucks his head in, trying to protect himself. While the young man has his eyes closed and is shielding himself, it seems someone took a hit. Chan-ho realizes something happened because he's still alive and unharmed. Shocked, the man sees as he looks to the side that the enemy was defeated with just one blow from his friend in hand. Unfazed by the other's panic, says that punches work. Taking in the situation, the man thinks to himself, what a senseless thing, bare-handed punches. Two more opponents join the attack against the pair of friends. Dae Sung approaches one of them, already prepared for another powerful punch, and he lands it, Now the score is 2 Han, monsters 0. Our hero is unstoppable and takes down an impressive streak of them with ease. Chanho, observing his companion's feat, wonders if the other awakened above Class B. The young man looks behind him and sees a crowd standing still. He tells himself that now is not the time. Strangely, the city seems unaware of the horrors happening in the area where that enemy army appeared. 2 enemies watch from the other side of the street, a crowd that is paralyzed from having seen them. Terrified, the people realize there are many monsters all around and think it must be the end for them. Like a true white knight, Chanho tells the group not to worry because he knows the way to the shelter through the sewers. He then asks everyone to follow him to get there safely. But to ruin his plan, more creatures appear. From the expressions of the people, they think this must be the end. The furious enemies prepare to attack, and suddenly there's a stampede and the population runs in panic in all directions while one little girl stands frozen. The creatures don't care and begin their charge. A child, crying in terror, calls for her mother. The beasts reach some people and they scream, begging for someone to save them. One enemy is now about to strike the little girl who is trembling. She's slightly hunched over, her face soaked in tears, her feet are so high that she no longer even calls for a parent. The creature brings down its hammer to strike the girl, but she's confused when it doesn't hit her, because Chanho saved her by leaping in and pulling her out of the way. In the next moment, a powerful blow hits the creature from the side, shattering its teeth. The attacker was Dae Sung, who defeated the beast with an incredible knee strike. Relieved, the man in the suit is happy to reunite with his friend, and he shields the little girl so she won't see everything that just happened. That enemy falls to the ground like a tree with a loud crash, and the young man lands on his feet beside it. Han tells his friend he's still in the opening and urges him to hurry up and get out of the way. Chanho smiles in gratitude for the boy having saved both of them and understands he needs to get out of there quickly, while the child keeps crying. The man in the suit shouts for the people to hurry to the sewer because there's no more time. Meanwhile, in what looks like another part of the city, cars pass by on the street. Someone is using their phone to stream live so that others can interact, and the person asks if the others are seeing what they're seeing. The citizen is showing our boy destroying some enemies on the sides of buildings. In the chat, people are amazed by Han's performance and someone asks if it's real while others are shocked he's doing everything alone. The guy who's filming explains to the audience that he came down from the building he was in after hearing they were surrounded by monsters. The boy realizes that Dae Sung is in a dangerous situation, and he really is because new enemies keep appearing. The worker yells while still recording that there's one monster after another. Han didn't notice and took a huge hit to the torso, a blow that sent him flying and crashing into the side of a car parked nearby. Seeing this happen, the young man imagines there's no way to survive that hit. Our hero is sitting with his back against the car and his head lowered. Once again, the chat goes wild, also wondering if the boy is alive, and someone says they won't play a tribute song just yet. For a moment that feels eternal, Dae Sung still hasn't started moving and everyone wonders what will happen now. Elsewhere, the manhole cover is lying beside the entrance to the sewer. Down below, a desperate woman finds a child who seems to be someone she knows. The girl runs toward her and the woman is her mother, the same one the little girl had been calling for so much while they were on the street. Chanho feels grateful for helping her get there. The child apologizes for having wandered off, and the man in the suit feels like he fulfilled his goal of finding the mother. A man asks the young guy if he's really going to return to the surface, and for a moment he doesn't know how to respond. Then the boy remembers his friend, who is still up there fighting all those evil creatures. Our hero lies there slumped on the ground, leaning against the car as the monsters approach. The creature gets closer, and he doesn't react. One of them looks at him with an evil glare. That guy tells Mim it looks dangerous, and in the chat they say it's the end, that the guy did his best, and may he rest in peace. Grabbing its club, the creature prepares to strike, hitting our hero directly. The boy watching covers his eyes so he doesn't see it, while the creature's attack destroys everything in its path. The monster is surprised by what it sees. The car is all wrecked, but our hero is gone. Suddenly, behind it, Dae Sung appears, hitting the other monsters. Then that guy says the big bro is alive, that it's really him. No way. Dae Sung thanks the creature, saying that thanks to it, he managed to restore his mana to a certain point. Smiling, he says, "No pain, I will give you a painless death." and charges at it with a swift move, taking down some monsters along the way. In the chat, people ask to zoom in because the image isn't very clear, and he thinks they're bastards, asking if they want him to go to hell. Until one of the viewers offers 5 million won more. The guy is shocked by that, thinking it's 5 million, or better yet, it's 10 million, while the chat goes wild. Nervously, he thinks it doesn't matter how good the money is. How could he go over there? While facing all those monsters, our hero thinks that mana consumption is no joke. Dodging the creature's attack, he prepares to strike, landing a punch on the monster's chin. Dae Sung rises with his attack, taking the opponent's head up with him. Nearby, the chat keeps offering things in exchange for a good photo, and others are just enjoying the video, until one asks for more information by email and says he'll pay for it. The boy seems to be doing very well. Several notifications start popping up on his device, while he says he's not going. The message says that besides the photo deal, if he can provide detailed info about the guy, he'll get a 40 million won bonus, so get in touch. Happy as ever, he asks himself 20 million elsewhere, in a tall building. Someone watches and says that just as the leader said, first it goes up to 20 million and then to 40 million in the future. Smiling, a man says the YouTubers are coming, and another says his clan is heading to the scene, so maybe they can join him. Smiling, he says he was a scout for a long time, but never felt like this before, and that guy is really strong. Back at the combat scene, our hero stomps on the creature and looks around at the other monsters. Those creatures seem scared of him. Mocking them, Dae Sung says the bugs are scared, when suddenly, something hits one of their heads. It was one of the big ones coming up behind. He stares down our hero defiantly. Nearby, the boy thinks that's a lot of money to turn down and begs the guy to look over there. From behind the car, hidden, he says that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The monster points its finger at our hero, ordering the attack. Dae Sung curses, realizing they're coming endlessly, and that his mana is already almost drained. Arriving next to the guy suddenly, Chano asks what he's doing and why he hasn't evacuated yet, nearly giving the guy a heart attack. The support gear with the phone and microphone fly to the ground. He asks if the guy is crazy to be there in that situation. In the chat, people ask what's happening, what happened to the chicken guy, and tell him to rest in peace. Grabbing the man, he commands him to get inside that building quickly. Desperate, he thinks, no, my money. Looking at his gear being left behind, he curses and swears at the situation. Suddenly, the foot of a creature crushes everything. The chicken guy and Chanho watch the approaching monster in fear, and it seems like the chicken guy had a breakdown there. Desperate, Chanho pleads for the guy to snap out of it, asking what's going on. The creature, not caring at all, gets ready to attack. But luckily for them, this monster also loses its head. Something passed by and took the creature's head away. Chanho watches this completely shocked. He looks at his friend, who's on top of a pile of monster corpses. Excited by it, Dae Sung says, nice try. He asks why Chanho came back, and his friend explains that he returned because he was worried. Dae Sung says he has somewhere to go for the next 20 minutes and asks if he can wait, and the guy says it's fine, the clans should arrive soon. Seeing our hero's curiosity, he says they can talk about anything he wants to know when he returns. On the terminal, it says the implementation was 100% completed. Due to the massacre, the Pantheon items can now be used in the present world, and asks if he wants to enter now. Our hero confirms on the terminal. Then a portal opens in front of him, leaving his friend shocked. He thinks the guy can open portals and wonders what the hell happened to him. Dae Sung walks through the portal, arriving on the other side in the Pantheon again. He says he can't believe his body turned out like this because of those fries, and asks it to tell him about the state of his mana. On the terminal, it says the mana of the Absolute Ruler is implemented at less than 10%. He thinks this sucks, and that it wasn't the weapon's fault, then asks it to quickly tell him how he can increase his mana. Answering his question, it tells him to please organize the diary of the Absolute Ruler. After that, time and place will be organized into a quest, with a proportional reward upon completion. Dae Sung asks if it means the diary he wrote in hell, and that he wrote every day to stay sane. On the terminal, it asks if he would like to organize his diary. Then he replies yes. Suddenly, a book appears before him. On the terminal, it shows that organization has begun. Energies begin to emanate from that diary. The organization process continues. While on the terminal, it shows that recording has begun. All events until now return to our hero. The diary suddenly catches fire, until finally the recording ends. Placing his hand on his head, Dae Sung says he feels sick and asks if they could go back to the part about the mana. Dae Sung says, page 16 to the Forest of Predators. On the terminal, it shows page 16, year 575 days, the event is being recreated. He stands there in the middle of that place, engulfed in mist. Meanwhile, back in the city, Chan-ho and the chicken guy are going up some stairs. The guy thinks maybe this addressee is known as Han, and that he recorded it. Then he calls the man's attention and asks if he has any idea where the hero Han went. Chan-ho asks why someone said they'd pay him money for a picture of Dae Sung's face. The guy says nothing, when suddenly a loud noise and they look up. Chan-ho says there might be survivors on the roof, so they should proceed quietly. The guy keeps climbing when his phone rings. He grabs the device to see what it is. There it shows a message from Junyang, the leader of the Seoul clan, saying that since it's the weekend, they'll be delayed in arriving and that they should evacuate the area quickly. Worried, he hopes his friend returns soon. Meanwhile, in that alternate world, Dae Sung waits. On the terminal, it says the Forest of Predators has been recreated, and due to the dimensional seal, information about this place cannot be shown. Our hero realizes he is very calm. On the terminal, it shows that the mission difficulty is medium, and he needs to eliminate the celestial beings occupying the forest, with the reward being a mana increase. He stands there wondering where they are and doesn't seem to notice the huge creature emerging. The being says it has detected an unidentified intruder and will remove it. Then from above, it launches a beam at our hero. Dae Sung manages to dodge the attack. As the beam passes, he maneuvers through the area, suddenly stopping further ahead. That grotesque celestial creature observes him. On the terminal, it shows that it is the White Colossus of Justice, a mechanical life form, and says this is an autonomous weapon created by the beings of paradise. Our hero repeats beings of paradise while observing that thing. The enormous monster charges again, attacking. The fist of the celestial creature hits the ground but misses. Thinking he's running out of time, he decides to end it quickly. He lands a massive blow on that creature. His attack completely cracks its face, throwing it flat on the ground afterward. Dae Sung lands on the ground right after. But it seems it's not over yet. From one of the celestial weapon's hands, elongated fingers extend toward him. Dae Sung just watches the attack approaching. Thinking that it's annoying, he decides he'll crush it completely. Then he gains momentum and charges toward it. The celestial monster attacks him with its stretched limbs while he keeps advancing without being hit, while those things come at him. Dae Sung prepares his attack against the weapon of heaven. This time he hits the monster right in the stomach. Our hero punches a hole through that thing, finally breaking it into several pieces. The Colossus collapses to the ground in a cloud of dust. Looking over his shoulder, he says, "Okay, next." A red sphere emerges from the remains of the creature, when suddenly something catches our guy's attention. Back on Earth again, Chan-ho and his companion reach the top of the building. They open the door and find several dead people there. The guy looks at it worriedly, while the boy behind him seems terrified. The two look at that pile of dead people on the rooftop. It seems one of them is in a dire state, but still alive. The boy asks if that person is still alive. They run to the man leaning against the ledge. Chan-ho crouches near him and asks if he's okay. With difficulty, the man says, "Could." The guy pays attention to him, asking what. Then he completes by saying, "behind." Chan-ho is shocked by the revelation of that last word. And from atop that building, a huge demon watches him as he swallows hard. The monster looks at him with an evil gaze. The attendant says he needs to move him, but Chan-ho says it's too late and that he must stay still until told to move. Saying yes, he asks what he saw. And when he realizes what it is, he's terrified. That huge demon continues to watch them. Chan-ho tells him to wake up and jump to the door when he says now he doesn't want to be torn apart there, so he should get a grip. Still very scared, the boy comes to his senses. That huge creature roars from above and suddenly jumps down. Then the guy yells, "Now." Meanwhile, in the Forest of Predators, our hero observes that red sphere full of energy. Wondering what that is, the sphere says it's beginning its self-restoration. Dae Sung gets worried about that and questions restoration. It says the restoration is at 10% and the analysis of the intruder's attack pattern has been completed. The performance of the main body will be improved. Running very fast, Dae Sung charges at the monster. Getting close to it, he prepares a big punch, and then hits the red sphere squarely. With the power of the attack, he opens a hole in it. Then he jumps over the sphere, landing directly on top of it. The terminal shows that the restoration progress is at 3%. Within a different look, he scoffs, saying the thing is annoying, and begins attacking it again. He continues non-stop using his power. On the terminal, it shows the restoration is at 40%. Dae Sung keeps punching until the object begins to crack, but the terminal still shows that the restoration is at 55%. More and more the sphere cracks, and the restoration doesn't stop now at 65%. Several error messages appear amidst the chaos of energy beams everywhere. The restoration is at 30% while our hero keeps punching relentlessly. Angrily, he throws a punch yelling for that thing to go to hell. But suddenly, the beam of energy comes toward him, and he manages to dodge it just in time. Looking at the place it came from, he sees 3 more celestial weapons approaching. Those things look at our hero, and on the other side there seem to be more of them. Then several beams begin to cross the air. Dae Sung skillfully dodges, jumping off the sphere. With an acrobatic leap, he avoids the energy beams. Landing on the ground, he starts to regain his composure. He curses while looking at his new enemies. On the terminal, it warns that the restoration is at 95%. Then with a burst, he charges forward again. Those divine machines begin firing their beams at him, but our hero increases his speed, leaving all of it behind without giving them a target. He charges again at the machine that's almost fully recovered, and the fury in his eyes alongside the terminal showing 98% recovery progress. Dae Sung delivers a huge blow to that thing, this time creating a massive hole in it. The celestial machines surround the area watching. Steadying himself on the ground, our hero braces after all that power. The guy thinks there's no end to this and that he needs to find another way. He realizes he should look into the recorded memories because there might really be a way to end this. He places his hand on his head, but then he feels his brain tingling and then he feels sick. But suddenly something comes into his awareness, and now he can remember saying that maybe it's possible. Chan-ho yells for the guy to run to the door and the boy obeys in fear. Meanwhile, the creature jumps down from above the entrance